All right, everybody, welcome. This is our regular Wednesday live stream. My co-host here is Nick Gibbs from Investing Against the Grain, Brian White from Future Aza. We like to talk about stock, but we also like to talk about the things that are happening to Tesla. The topic I've titled right now is the Tesla stock running out of power. But actually, it's a bigger topic, right? Is the world changed for Tesla, specifically with Nvidia, with potential things like Grok, all these things that are happening just this week alone? Let's start with Nvidia. Nick, we haven't heard from you yet. What was your interpretation of the Jensen Huang's keynote speech?
He's a world-class salesman.
Yeah.
He's brilliant. I mean, and he's a great salesman because of the whole rhetoric the day after. I mean, first of all, that jacket. I mean, that jacket. I don't know if you guys have ever seen American Gangster, but an American Gangster played by Denzel Washington. He finally gets caught because he wears something flashy to get the attention.
Yes.
And it was the one thing his mentor told him never to do. And he did it and he got caught. And when Jensen came out with that jacket and all the bling on it, I literally posted on X. I was like, that's it. This jacket's the downfall. And sure enough, the next day, the stock tanks. I thought that was kind of hilarious. But he's an excellent salesman. And you know that because the very next day, the whole X universe, Bloomberg, CNBC, everybody was talking about. I mean, you just saw Tesla stock just crash, right? And apparently, Nvidia is going to solve this before Tesla, and apparently that's all anybody needs. And now Toyota is going to use Nvidia, and guys, it's a done deal. It's over. So the fact that he was able to sell that to everybody, and people bought what he was selling, I think is pretty comical, and it just shows you that people don't know what's going on. It just shows you that there's still so much left here, and that we haven't even started. If people are so shallow in their understanding of the problem statement that they think that you can just go buy some Nvidia hardware, leverage their SDK, and use a little bit of real world data sprinkled into some synthetic data, bada boom, bada bing, we're good.
That's actually a really good point. I think it'd be about as reasonable of a conclusion as saying, hey, look, I've made a motor that you can just add to your horse-drawn carriages, and you will be the next Ford. You won't. You have to rethink it from the ground up. And that's kind of a problem when, as Jim Farley explained, there are 150 different software providers who not only don't talk to each other, but don't let Ford tinker with their software to make it actually work when it doesn't, or integrate better when it doesn't. And that's kind of a problem. The beauty of it is, Jensen's job is to sell Nvidia chips, and he just did. He just sold billions in chips with this announcement of a system that doesn't work today. It can't work today. It's not meant to work today, but could work in the next few years, at which time you could begin engineering it into vehicles. I mean, we're talking 2030.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you guys, right? So yes, this is the narrative that we Tesla investors are saying. Don't they know that you can't just, bada bing, bada boom, like you said, take whatever Nvidia is selling and create something. But what matters more, isn't it? Or maybe it doesn't matter more, but it's how are investors, how are auto companies, how are robot companies going to view what they saw? Because Tesla stock had this momentum going in the last quarter of the year. They were about to solve robotaxi. They had the regulatory approval, the relationship with Trump, everything was looking rosy. What happened in the last month here? And then you got this. Oh, there's actually a competitor. It's Nvidia, and they're going to power all automakers. We had a couple, Tesla experts come out yesterday saying, see, I've always been telling you competition is coming. And, somebody said, when will the other automakers be able to do autonomy? And somebody said, 15 minutes after Tesla does, because they'll just copy them. So it's this false notion, but will investors say, oh, Tesla's not really got anything special. I'm going to, I'm going to start pulling off. We had one institutional analyst, Bank of America, who then gave a downgrade. They didn't say that the Nvidia presentation was the reason, but they said it was the execution risk of what Tesla might need to do. So what's your thinking about how investors are viewing what they saw?
The crazy thing was Bank of America said, we've raised our price target, but changed from buy to hold. Yeah. What are you doing? Did you goof up when you spun the wheel of pricing this morning? I don't understand how those people stay in business with mixed messages like that.
So, okay, several things. Let's start off with there are two people in this world, Herbert and Brian. There are the people who saw what Jensen debuted, showed, and they were wowed. They could not believe how far Nvidia has come, and they could not believe that they've already caught up to Tesla and what they're doing, and that they are going to be able to be as profitable with everything that Tesla's doing for every automaker. So they're going to get the leverage on all of that. That's one set of people. Then there's the other people, the people who saw that and said, there's absolutely nothing new that was shown today. There's nothing new here. It's just a bunch of PowerPoints, a bunch of presentations, some fancy little demo, but there was nothing new. You didn't actually talk about anything new. Absolutely. Like it's incredible. And so, at the end of the day, it's like, it's up to you. Like, you tell me which person you are. I can tell you what the right answer is, and there is a right answer. There's not even a question. This is engineering. There's the actual right answer. And I can tell you, as an engineer, the thing that we hate the most is any kind of event or conference like this. I know investors and shareholders, they love these things. Marketing team, sales team, they love all this stuff. Engineers hate it because you know what engineers have to do the next day? They have to talk to clients and they have to say, yeah, I know we demoed that, but like, you have to understand, like, it's more of a vision. We can't actually do that yet. Like, it's kind of like, this is more road, like, we got elements, but like, there's still a lot more work to be done. It's not quite GA yet. Like, and the engineer has to be the one that has to like give that message, that sobering message. So depends what type of person you are and to understand that. And then as far as the Bank of America thing, okay, this is why, once again, I'll keep saying the same thing. Analysts are the most useless profession in existence. You just told me that there is execution risk. Tell me more. Tell me about this execution. Tell me what part of this execution you see. Execution risk, that is the most ambiguous, broad stroke thing you could paint. Tell me where you see the execution risk. Where is it? Is it in the capital to buy the data centers? Is it in getting enough vehicles out there to get the data? Is it being able to get enough data that has certain edge cases? Are you concerned about their AI teams not able to figure certain things out? Are you worried about the latency between photons coming in and going out and making decisions? Like, where is it? Are you worried about distance? Like, where is what part of the execution? Where is it? Because I guarantee you, you can't tell me. And if you can't tell me, that everything you just said is BS. Because you don't know. You're just saying some marketing words again to make me think, oh, well, price target up, I hedge my bets there. Execution risk, that's a hold, I hedge my bet there. I'm an analyst.
That's exactly what they did. Yeah, that's exactly it. Just a feeling that they had.
I want to add to that. The CES hype is real. I went to CES last year and I went to see Hyundai's presentation. Was it Hyundai or Kia? I don't remember, one of them. And we get into this big room with this beautiful, entire, ginormous wall. And it's got, some slides and some greenery. And then the word hydrogen. And we're like, uh-oh, what's this? And the presentation was nothing but hydrogen. And the presentation was one of the worst I've ever seen. It was awkward. It was stilted. The teleprompters were in sight for all of us, and we could see, they became more interesting than the people awkwardly reading them. And at the end of it, I was sitting with Paul Foss from Clean Technica. At the end of it, we looked at each other and we're like, what on earth was that wet mess? So we grabbed some people from the crowd. We're like, what'd you think? They're like, this is visionary. These guys are going to do it. They're going to turn garbage plastic bottles into clean hydrogen. And I thought, oh my goodness, you guys are... do you have the ability to think critically? No part of this made sense, and everyone's excited. It's CES. You get hyped. It's what you do. And an awful lot of people there are not real industry people. I know it's just for industry people. That's an umbrella so broad as to make no sense at all. And yeah, I don't get what they're trying to do. It's important to have a vision board. Maybe don't publish it. I would say that Nvidia has a well above average track record of actually releasing and producing what they show. I don't remember any products off the top of my head that they've shown that didn't come to fruition. But this product is just a framework. It's just a set of tools. It's not actually going to deliver anything. That's your job, Mr. Customer. That's what you have to do with the tools I've provided you. So give me a few billion and best of luck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that, I love what you just said there, Brian. The only thing I would add is just to piggyback on this, like respect and kudos to Nvidia. Like they are the king of the hill. Like there is no number two. Intel is confused, walking backwards. They're lost. They don't know what they're doing. You have AMD. They're like perpetual, always the bride, always the bridesmaid, never the bride kind of thing. Like they're just never number one. It's Nvidia, right? We know Nvidia's the show. Nvidia's the LeBron James, the Michael Jordan. It's Nvidia, but you know there are certain lanes that we're playing in, and Nvidia is not playing in the same lanes as Tesla. If anything, Tesla's playing more in Nvidia's lane than Nvidia's playing in Tesla's lane, right? Tesla makes better inference computers for all their vehicles. They probably have more inference compute out there than Nvidia does. I could be mistaken on that. That's probably hyperbole because I don't know what Nvidia has. But you get my point, is that they're actually doing that. Nvidia, to Brian's point, they have an SDK. It's like I created a 401k and I tell you, hey, you can make a lot of money with your investments and you can retire and all this, but it's still on you to put the money in there and to choose what to put that money into, right? I just created the 401k. That's the vehicle. You have to make the decisions from here and you have to put the money in. So yeah, here are the servers. Here's the framework, as Brian was saying, the SDK, the software development kit, but now go do it. Go figure it out. I don't know how to do all that. Like you go figure it out. And that's where Tesla comes in.
But Nick, they have 20 million hours of video of driving. Not necessarily, they didn't say that it's actually harvested from actual vehicles with more than one camera. Herbert and I were talking about this earlier. We think it might just have been scraped from YouTube or something. But how long would it take Tesla to gather an additional 20 million hours of footage? We figure day or two, couple days.
Yeah. So, okay. The NVIDIA came out. Jensen Huang, fantastic presenter, great company, of course. Nobody's saying that they're not. It's the misinterpretation by people who watched what they saw. One example is everybody's talking today. Did you hear Toyota is partnered with NVIDIA? Toyota's going to make autonomous vehicles now through their partnership with NVIDIA. Did you hear Uber partner with NVIDIA? All of these announcements. Never mind that many of these announcements were made many years ago and nothing's came out of fruition out of it. And just to show people an example of how you might interpret something, if you take a look at this slide that they showed at the NVIDIA conference, they show 17 automakers that are partnered with NVIDIA. So everybody's going, oh my God, they've got a platform, they're selling it. But take a look at one of the logos there. It's Tesla.
Yeah, there's a Cybertruck there in the bottom left corner.
And the reason is because this is actually a list of customers that NVIDIA sells their products to. Jensen Huang said that we have 3 products, right? We have a chip that we sell for training compute. That's what Tesla buys. They create their supercomputers using that chip. We have a chip now that you can buy for inference compute. We don't know anybody here has bought that yet, but they're selling it for $3,000. That was one of the new announcements. And they have the simulation software. So these are just a list of customers, and each of these may buy it. They didn't say which one of them bought and which ones are doing. They're just customers. And nowhere did they actually say that here's the time frame. This is when Toyota's actually going to release an autonomous vehicle now using our technology. It's just tools that they can buy to then start the process of building an autonomous vehicle solution.
Yeah, I found it an exercise I'd like to do is I'd like to go back and watch all this again and hear the names and to see if there's a specific graphic he had as far as who is leveraging their suite for creating autonomy, right? Because like he mentioned Toyota, like I'd like to see who all he named or who all was on the graphic behind them, and then subtract those away from all the big automakers. Just to get an idea of like who could be in the running for potentially licensing FSD, because obviously it wouldn't be any of those. So I think that'd be interesting.
I just need to pop out for a second, return the call to my daughter. You guys take over for a second here.
And I would say that you can't just subtract those from the list. I think that those are because Tesla's on that list. Is Tesla out of the running for FSD? Toyota's the only one who's officially in. And the list includes BYD. I don't think BYD is going to partner with Tesla or Nvidia. I mean, of course, they're using their compute because their GPUs are legendary. And yeah, I think it's, I don't know.
Well, that's why I was saying, like, when he was speaking about who's using it for autonomy specifically, not like the data center part of that. Like, it was late at night. I was, tired. I didn't watch it all, but I would just like to hear if he specifically named, because I think he did name like 4 or 5 or 6 different companies that are working with Nvidia on autonomy specifically. Tesla was not. He said Tesla is using us for the data center, right? He so I don't know.
So the article that I read this morning listed Zeekr, Lee, BYD. It didn't list Tesla. It listed Zoox, and I think no, Zoox is definitely not using that. They're definitely not. So I don't know if this was an author just pulling some random words together to keyword stuff, which would definitely be a thing, or if it was actually mentioned. The presentation was quite long and I only had a chance to skip around through it because I have so much work to do all the time. So yeah, I think at best, what they've done is provide an excellent framework for people who just really, really don't want to use Tesla. I think all the Chinese companies are going to find other Chinese companies to work with. And it appears that there's some very serious, very meaningful competition in the FSD space within China. And it's only not being exported because of protectionist policies, specifically around data security. So I'd be curious to know how that's going to play out.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting that Ford was never mentioned.
Well, they're using 486s, so I think their compute might be a little behind the times.
Well, the reason I thought it was interesting is because let's not forget Ford was the first one to lead the charge, pun intended, with the supercharger NACS, adoption. And so it makes me wonder if, I mean, I haven't heard anything about Blue Cruise. I just want to say Blue's Clues every time.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard anything about that in a while. So
yeah, I am hopeful that the Skunkworks project that we've heard about, that they've been working on for some years now, is a ground up platform that could be integrated to the kind of degree that we would see if they were to use a Tesla system. Jim Farley, in that Fully Charged interview from last June, was saying that they have 150 different software providers and all of them write their own software, and it's a mess. Getting them to play nice with each other is a mess. And it's because they outsourced all their core competencies, and now it's a problem. But if the Skunkworks is starting from square one, they could be a Tesla development partner. And I hope if they are developing with someone outside the company, I hope for their sake that it is Tesla, because my confidence is very limited in the other players, especially looking at where the other players were at 2-3 years ago when the project started. Do you see a second place in this race?
I mean, okay, what point in time? Tesla's
Right
the
now,
second place to Waymo.
okay,
When it
because
depends how you look at it,
sure.
metric wise. If you're looking about as far as actually giving people driverless rides and they get to sit in the back seat, Waymo's number one. If you look at it from a profitability perspective, Tesla's number one. If you look at it from drivable domain, Tesla's number one. Right? It's like I think Waymo only gets the thumbs up on being the first one where you can sit in the back in certain cities and charge for it. Right? They're being Tesla on that. That's point in time. Other than that, no, I don't see. I mean, there isn't. Like, it's not. Do you even see one? There isn't one. We can talk about Chinese companies all day long, but I would also call BS on that because they're exporting every vehicle as fast as they can. And in my opinion, if they actually, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But what I would say is the Chinese are really good at copying. They're not good at copying well. So I think, I don't know. There's nothing to make me think that the Chinese have built something of quality when it comes to software that would rival it. But I could be wrong. I mean, they've been able to see what works for Tesla. But at the same time, they also don't have the same GPUs unless, they're somehow able to sneak them in. And there's just a lot to it. I don't see it. But I was going to ask you, that interview that surfaced around with Jim Farley, is that a new one or are people just resurfacing the same one from a couple of years ago?
It's June of 24, I believe. So it's 6 months out of date, but the information isn't. I think it's as relevant now as it was then. But no, it is an older interview. It's just making the rounds
only
again.
June of 24? It feels like it was so long ago.
I believe so. Somebody can double check me in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sure because it seemed like it was an interview
June
I'd
of
seen before.
23. June of 23 in the chat.
So
yeah.
it felt like it just resurfaced, but the way people were talking about it was as if it was a interview where he was saying the same thing again, and saying that, I don't know. So it just threw me in for a loop, and I imagine other people were wondering the same thing.
Sure. It's tricky. It's complicated. I know a lot of people like to think that we can just, slap it on a car, slap it on any car and it'll work. But it's not. It's every system. It's the, if I've already got a cross traffic alert system, now I've got two that are fighting each other. It's tricky. So there's a lot of depth to the problem.
Yeah, I'm pretty convinced that what they're working on, their Skunk Works, at least the software side of it's going to be in collab with Tesla. You would just think it'd have to be because, look, it's hard to do one thing really well. It's hard to do one thing that's hard really well. And if you're trying to do two things that are really hard really well at the same time, Tesla didn't even do it. Tesla started off with trying to make a really good electric vehicle and make it profitable. And they nearly went bankrupt trying to do that. And then after they were able to figure out the basic framework and, at that point it was about how do we improve on manufacturing and reduce costs. But like we had the framework, then they slowly started work on autonomy and think about camera placements. And they were messing with Mobileye and then Dish Mobileye and did their own thing. And right, it was kind of an evolution. It's not like they were trying to do both at the same time. That'd be like trying to launch the rocket for the first time and land it all at once. Like those are two really hard things to do at once. And right now,
or even just
focus on the first,
or even just build the satellites, develop satellites, and develop a rocket for the first time.
Yeah,
It's pretty crazy. I am going down to Starbase for the 9th through the 12th, during which time there is expected to be no launch. But there will be a lot of other Tesla and SpaceX content creators, and I will be interviewing a bunch of them to try and make my trip less disappointing for me. So if you have any topics you'd like me to cover, you can send me a message, figure out, I don't know, there's some way to do it, I'm sure. Yeah. Do you, let's see, we got Herbert back. I hope everything is all right on that front.
My daughter lives in Glendale Burbank in Glendale in LA. So obviously keeping very close track of what's happening. It's very severe. I was watching a LA fire department conference and they were saying that there's 4 fires. They have nowhere near enough firefighters or resources to deal with this. And then there's 70-mile winds and spreading it. And I'm more concerned about the smoke. So trying to make sure that they make the right decisions here.
Yeah, that's rough. The best of luck to everybody out there.
Yeah. Your priorities were correct. We are happy to fill the gaps for you. We were discussing how the possibility that Ford Skunk Works could include FSD or a Tesla partnership, because when the Skunk Works program began just a few short years ago, there weren't many options. I couldn't see them having partnered with Cruise because it is GM and maybe that's a little too close to home. And I hope they didn't, because that would have been a dead end. There weren't many serious options 2-3 years ago. And so
it makes sense, right? That's the case. But Alexandra did a deep dive on the Ford Skunk Works project. We actually did a show on it on Cyberbulls a while back. And she found a few things that kind of indicated that that they did not do this to partner with Tesla, which most of us assumed that they did. I can't remember the exact details at this point of what she was saying that she found that showed that they may not be partnering with Tesla, but it would make the most sense, wouldn't it?
I'll take a bet on that one.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree with her that there is no evidence that this has happened. But that doesn't mean it hasn't happened. There was no evidence that Ford was leaning towards NACS until they made the announcement, at which time we found out they'd been in discussions for quite some time to get it finalized. But yeah, I think she's correct and safe in her hesitation.
Okay. Well, let's talk Tesla again. So we just, obviously we had the Nvidia presentation. There's people saying, oh, there's competition coming. That's all done. What other things are impacting the stock? We saw it rise. Of course, it's going to go up and down. We don't know why it's causing this, but the sentiment was really hot. Even just this Monday, 2 days ago, I reported on 4 institutional analysts who all raised their price targets on Tesla. The excitement was continuing. I think institutions are still piling in. We did see the stock fall, of course. Do you guys think that sentiment has changed? Is it temporary? Or is something more structural to what people are viewing Tesla?
I'll go first because Nick's going to have a better answer than me. I don't think there was any reason for it to run up other than emotion. And I don't think there's any reason for it to retreat better than profit taking.
Yeah, I think, I don't disagree with what Brian's saying. I think there's also other variables. Right now, look, you just had ADP payrolls come out today, lighter than expected. ISM came out yesterday. We're going to get jobs numbers tomorrow. The last inflation read was hotter than expected. The Fed's indicating potentially no rate cuts, potentially no rate hikes are a possibility. There's a lot going on right now. Trump is also making his own noise with Canada and Greenland and Panama Canal and all that stuff. Essentially making threats to Hamas to release the prisoners. There's a word for it, the hostages. There's just a lot of noise going on. You have Trudeau stepping. There's just a lot of uncertainty in the world, is what I'm saying, and not necessarily bad uncertainty, but it's changed. There's a polarization happening in the world from a geopolitical perspective. Clearly, we have a lot of these, these injections of like this Nvidia presentation, and you see BYD outsold Tesla on vehicle, right? So there's a lot going on here. There's no one silver bullet you can pin it to, and so I think you see some steam coming out of it. And if you look at it right now, since December 18th, you can draw a very clear line on the downward trend we're on, and there's no sign of breaking that downward trend right now. But we may have bottomed at 370. So we'll see what happens. I mean, all of this is kind of just really when you see the stock like this, in my opinion, like if you take Bitcoin, if you take Netflix, like they all have the exact same chart right now. Like they have the exact same view. And to me, it's just a proxy for the sentiment around the world, and the market is just simply pricing that out and finding equilibrium. And the next thing that happens may take us out of this downward trend, or it may accelerate it. We don't know. But what we know is that there is a change of order happening in the world. Some people love it. Some people hate it. We don't know if it's good or bad. We'll only know that once we've lived through it and we look in the past. But right now, what we do know is it seems like autonomy when it comes to Tesla, this is the year of that, where we'll see unsupervised full self-driving. Elon's confirming it again while he's gaming. I'm driving FSD 13 every day, and if this is the worst build that we're gonna have in 2025, like it's kind of mind-blowing. Like if it would just handle parking at the end of the drive perfectly every time, I'd be like, we're done, ship it out. Like, not saying we'll never have an accident again, whatever, but that's also not the measuring stick, in my opinion. So I don't know, like it's the third trading day of the year, I think, fourth trading day of the year. It got to chill out. Like people are kind of like freaking out. We don't know what's happening right now. All we know is that the market is just reflecting this change of order, and the new year, since November 5th, 8th, whatever it was, a lot has changed. And we are just now digesting this change. You know what it is, Herbert? You went to the gym for the first time and you did a leg day, a hard leg day, and you haven't been in the gym in 3 years, and you're kind of walking really funny. The market's walking funny. There's change.
Okay. All right. Well, the thesis for Tesla is now changed, right? Since the last half of last year, where everybody's now all eyes on FSD and path to robotaxi. Is it fair to say that in the last 2 weeks, nothing has changed in their path to robotaxi? If anything, there's confirmation, right? So they released FSD 13, they released FSD 12.6 to wider to the hardware 3 cars. Elon, while he was gaming yesterday, he did confirm that the Tesla employees are still using FSD and testing that out, that they're still on track to do a commercialized version of robotaxi by the end of this year. He did confirm that Grok 3 is going to be released this year, and that there's going to be integration into Tesla cars. These are nothing new. These are things that he's already mentioned before, except for maybe the Grok integration is coming soon. These are confirmation, right, that FSD is still on track. We're hearing more news about the supercomputer build. It's, again, everything seems to be still on track. Is there anything that you guys have heard from anybody saying that you feel like the FSD or path to robotaxi has been slowed down in any way?
So when it comes to predictions that far out, Elon's track record is very bad. When it comes to predictions that are 2 weeks out, a month out, they're a lot better. Elon recently confirmed that the launch would be on the 10th, which is why I booked my tickets and got a hotel, all non-refundable, for a flight I will miss. But I'll be there, so come see me.
I think it's the other way around, Brian. When he says things that are short term, he often misses. But if he says anything long term, he often hits those right.
So is it 2 weeks or the end of next year? Because it's definitely by the end of next year.
If you take that out, because he doesn't predict that, he just says his best guess. But if you took that out of it, can you give me another example where he's been off?
8-8 versus 10-10.
That's a decision.
I would say that's short term.
That was 4 months out. AP on April 13th reported that NV91 was canceled. Elon said fake news. See you on 8/8, and it became 10/10.
I would say anything under a year short term. I think we can all agree with that. Capital gains taxes say that anything under a year short term. Ergo, that is short term.
Roadster.
Good one. That's a good one.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
So okay, so you're saying that the current continued path is that they're going to do some sort of commercialized robotaxi by 2025.
He will.
And of course, it can be delayed.
100%.
Absolutely.
No, it won't. I'll stick my neck out. It's happening.
Okay. And then Brian, you're saying, Elon always makes these kind of things. He's going to be wrong again.
I don't think Brian's saying that.
I'm not saying he's going to be wrong. I'm saying it is unknown and unknowable this early.
Of course. Yeah.
When Ashok says it, then I'll take it to the bank. I won't try to deposit it. I don't have an account there, but still.
Okay. I guess more importantly, that there is no signs of any negative news as opposed to, right, that are we on track? It seems today there's nothing.
Who's got 13? You guys use a 13?
Yeah, I do.
Like, can you honestly drive that and tell me that you don't think we're on track?
No, I use it every day now. I use it all the time, every day.
Yeah, it's generally wonderful, but I still have critical safety disengagements.
I have not had a single one.
There's a 2-way stop that it thinks is a 4-way stop, and twice I would have been T-boned if I didn't disengage. That's fairly...
That's real.
That's unfortunate.
A 2-way stop?
Yeah, it's a... Yes. Two ways have a flashing red, and 2 ways have a flashing yellow. It is a 2-way... It's a 4-way intersection, but only 2 of the ways stop. So, and there's a sign that says cross traffic does not stop, but, it can't read.
Well, what I was going to say back to the Grok stuff, I was saying yesterday with Randy and on X that I was wrong about Grok when I was saying that we're not going to have Grok on the cars. But then I went and I listened to what he actually said. I take back. I was right about what I was saying. We will not have the Grok LLM on the car because Elon said you'll just simply call out to the cloud. I'm like, that makes sense. That's kosher with everything that my brain was thinking. And I even said that several times that we don't have the compute or the memory bandwidth on board to do that and FSD right now with hardware 4. So that makes so much more sense. Now, I also think that there's still I just be curious like what the latency will be to call it. Maybe it won't be too bad, but it's hard to know. And then I also would venture a guess that it's not going to be free. That will cost you like $2 a month or something.
Interesting. Let's listen to what he actually said.
Grok and Tesla's is coming soon. So you'll just be able to like talk to your Tesla and ask for anything?
That's all he said. Now, so
No,
what you're
he
saying,
said more than that. He said more
what did he
than that.
say? What else did he say?
There's another one. There's another clip where he said,
Grok 3?
No, he said something along the lines of, the car will just call out to the cloud and it will be able to, like, he explained like how to work. That won't be on the car. So there's another clip.
So if that's the case, Nick, does that mean that it's not going to be integrated with the car features? Like you can't say open the trunk?
That doesn't mean that at all.
Okay.
I mean, it's just like a lane chain functionality, or just one triggers the other. Like, yeah, that's pretty basic. That's like if this and that.
Yeah, I'd like to be able to say to Grok, hey, can we just stay in the right lane for the whole trip? I'm in no rush.
Can you
and
do
have
that?
it? No, I don't. I don't think so. But eventually, I would hope that that's a feature. Because if you want my $2, you better deliver
Interesting
something.
that you think that he'll charge for it.
I think they will.
I don't
They
think
should.
they will.
They absolutely should. 100% they should.
I think it would cripple adoption. And I
Exactly.
think, especially early on, they would rather it be a semi-permanent free trial.
I mean, you can make that same argument with the FSD.
I would, but
Yeah.
only because I don't like paying
You
for
don't wanna
things.
pay-
But
Yeah.
I don't think I would pay for Grok. I
Bet
certainly
you would.
wouldn't.
You absolutely
I-
would. You have a YouTube channel on Tesla. You'd have to review it. You absolutely would use it.
Right.
You would absolutely
I
pay
would
for it.
I would only pay for it because I have a YouTube channel. I don't
Yeah.
assume everyone watching has a YouTube channel, but
would
I
pay
could
for
be
it.
mistaken.
I would pay for it. Yeah. Like I'm paying for premium. I'd pay for
Yeah,
entertainment.
pay for premium too. Yeah.
I would do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And
but I don't pay
definitely-
for Chat GPT.
I don't either.
Well, there you
Well,
go.
now that we have Grok, I stopped paying for ChatGPT, but it's
Yeah,
very
exactly.
useful.
And I pay for Grok technically.
Right.
Right. So why would I pay for ChatGPT when I have Grok? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
It'll be bundled.
But yeah, but I do think that you'll be able to, like, honestly, what we have on board right now is really bad. Like
Doesn't
I get
work.
caught doing this all the time. Like I won't, a lot of times I won't type in the navigation where I want to go. I'll just say navigate to whatever. And a lot of times just out of habit, I'll say navigate to Greg's house. And Greg is in my favorites, but it doesn't know that. It doesn't
Yeah.
understand that context. And like basic stuff like that would just be nice. Like, just get this right, or to be able to say, hey, navigate to a Taco Bell that's currently open, or to be able to say navigate to, and this is where it gets, where you have like kind of agentic AI come in. If I said navigate to the nearest Lowe's that has a whatever in stock right now for pickup, that would be awesome. I don't have to go online. I don't have to look it up. I don't have to find the part. I don't see have to, or navigate to whatever Lowe's that has this part in stock and tell me what aisle it's on. Like, how awesome would that be?
I would add to that sometimes when using voice navigation, I'll give it what I think is a pretty clear instruction, and it will give me directions to a different location of that store that's 300 miles away when there's one 2 miles away. And that's not a good showing. And there's a lot of times when I'll say, just turn on the defogger, the front defrost. And it'll be like, well, I'll turn on the back one. But otherwise, my friend, I don't know what you're asking for. So it's so consistently wrong with that particular command that I don't use it.
So I've been having debates with people on this. Do you think that Grok integration into Tesla cars, is that going to be a demand driver, sell a lot more Teslas? Is it going to be a big deal, like social media, viral videos? It's going to change your relationship with your car? Or do you think it's just, it's a nice new feature. It'll be interesting. I can do chat with ChatGPT. I can do chat with Grok at the Twitter. And now I can do it in my car. I still believe that it's going to be a big deal. And it really will change how you view a car. And it's going to be it's going to go viral, and it's going to be a lot more features than you realize that they will slowly add over time, but it can become a really big deal. How do you guys stand on that?
I don't think Singularity will be a demand driver. I do think it'll change your relationship with your car, because with FSD right now, you already feel like the car has a personality. Like there's no way you can tell me that you don't like feel it. Like I'm not saying there's actually something there, but like you can tell like it's got attitude or temperament, or especially with the evolution of the different FSD versions. But to be able to communicate to it, that just adds another layer of that, I don't know, animal like it'd be like if you could speak to
It's
your
alive.
dog. Like how awesome would that be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't think it'll be a demand driver, but what I'll caveat is Singularity, it wouldn't be a demand driver. If you when you start to add these things up, FSD, unsupervised FSD, being able to speak to your car and have Grok in there, the supercharging network, lower costs of vehicles. Maybe you could put your vehicle in to go make you money. Like when the sum of the parts is what's the demand drivers. Like there's a certain point where it's like you keep throwing things on. It's like at a certain point, it's like, how can I not buy it? Like what do you expect from me? Like they keep just making it better. Like They keep adding all these things at no extra cost or at a $2 extra cost or whatever. Like, how can I not? It's just, it becomes a no-brainer at a certain point.
And I'm taking the opposite view, which is if it cost anything at all,
How
I don't know
dare
that
you.
I would ever adopt it apart from to make videos. And maybe, you know, the free trial is so good that you can't live without it. But I don't know. I've been driving for a long time without it.
Wait. Which one is it, Brian? Is it you wouldn't adopt it, or is it if I could say stay in the right lane the whole time, I would adopt it?
Can it do that? That's the thing is we don't
question-
know what it can do.
No, but
And I don't know. I don't know if I
will
would
be
because
it will be able to do that because they did talk about that in the past. So right now, Ashok Goswami, in about a video he did about 8 months, a year ago, he said that it's like an LLM. You can actually tell it, code it, you know, text it and say, I want you to do something like that, and the car will do it.
like,
So-
but
But if
imagine this.
but
Imagine
if it's
this.
not part of FSD, is it going to be the one shutting off the blinker every time and going, knock it off, car?
Just play with us, Brian. Just play with the hypothetical. Let's say that you could be in your car and you're about to get to Sushi Palace to go eat unlimited sushi. I'm assuming you like sushi. You live out west.
course.
Who doesn't? Right? You probably have great sushi where you're at. Let's say that you can get there. Your car, unsupervised FSD, drops you off at the front door, and you're able to just press a button and say, "Hey, Grok, go park yourself and pick me up at 7:15. Send me a text like 3 minutes before you leave to make sure I'm ready, and I'll meet you up front." And it goes and parks. And then right before
That's
it leaves,
crazy.
it sends you a text saying, "Hey, Brian, I'm about to take off. Are you still ready for me?" And you say yes or no, just like a reservation would be. And you say, "No, give me another 10 minutes." And then
If
checks
it could
back
do
in.
all that, yeah. If it could do all that.
That's the future. Like that's the
Well,
very
yes,
obvious
but
thing.
even-
I'm
even
an
just
idiot
now,
and I'm
Brian,
thinking
even-
of this.
Even just now, let's say like, right now, which of you guys, I barely use the press the button and use the microphone to tell it to open a glove box. That's the one thing I might do. The rest of it, I don't.
Wait, you
because
don't
it barely-
open butthole?
I don't say
That's
that.
not
no.
the glove box.
That's the rear. But it doesn't feel like it works that often, so I don't do that. But if I can do just voice, and by the way, I don't think you need to press a button, Nick. You just say, "Hey, Grok," right? Some sort of wake up word. Grok, open the increase the volume, or turn on my seat warmer. That is so useful because you just voice it as opposed to having to press a button, and it's going to be more accurate. If it's just very, very accurate, and you can do almost anything. Certain Basher or somebody else posted this fantastic list of all the things that you can actually do, but you have to say the exact words. And there's like a massive list that is today. But it's just, I don't use it. None of us do it because you have to use exact words.
Your syntax is very
important.
Has to be perfect.
But with Grok, it should theoretically understand these things much better. You can use any kind of words and it'll be able to understand what you're saying. It can ask you questions back to clarify. I think that's going to be a game changer.
But come on, how good of an idea is that? Where you just tell it to go park and pick me up at this time, and
it's
it'll
a big
send you a
one, yeah.
text, confirm. Like that's
That's
awesome.
just one idea too, Nick, right? There's there's many, like this can become used for business. Like you're asking questions on your way to work, whatever. Like it's going to be a lot more useful than we realize. Entertainment.
See, this is where I would actually not mind having. See, this is where it can become really productive. Like imagine that you're in your car and you just got an email like, "Hey, read me my email from whatever because it's really important." Like, "Hey, reply to them." And what do you want to say? Okay, I want to say this. Whatever. And I can just say, "Grok, can you improve on that?" Like, okay, stop sounding so formal. Take this part out. Write this. I mean, to be able to do that while you're on the move from going point A to point B, I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah. By the way, I got this Meta glasses for Christmas,
Oh,
and I've been using it.
Santa was
And,
nice to you.
Yeah, so it's a
Ray-Ban?
smart glasses.
That's Ray-Ban.
Yeah, it's Ray-Ban. It's smart glasses, and it takes photos. It takes video. But my
you look
favorite
smart now.
thing. Good one. My favorite thing is over-the-ear audio, so I can listen to music and I don't have to plug these things in. Anyways, they have a new feature that I'm signing up for, And I'm really afraid of doing it because this is Meta. I don't want, I delete all of their apps. I never want to deal with them because I know they're stealing privacy info. But there's a feature I want to test out. It's called Live AI. And it's not available yet, but it's supposed to come. And what it is that you don't need to do wake up words. It's always there. You can have conversations with it at any moment, at any time. I wonder if at some point you can do that with Tesla too. So you don't have to like ask it questions. You don't have to wake up word. It's just always available. That's where we're headed towards. And it's got live translation too, by the way. You can pick a language and you can talk to somebody and it's got a live translation. There's these value propositions like that make me, who is so afraid of Meta, download the friggin' app on my phone and use it. And I want to delete it soon.
Translation. Ooh.
Yeah. You know, and I'm sure they'll take baby steps to get there, but Grok in your car, you're in your car and like that is hours and you want to be able to just have a conversation. And I think that's where we're going to head towards is a conversation with this, like you said, Nick, it's like a live friend, a live buddy.
First buddy. Can we make it sound like Trump?
You could make it sound whatever you want.
It'll be huge.
Yeah.
I can't do a Trump impression. You know what I want to sound like? I want it to sound like Ditterman trying to do an Elon accent. That's what I want. So this is where, let me be on Brian's side for a second here. This is where I think Brian is right. I think the whole Grok integration, I think that's going to be really delayed. I think that sounds like one of those things like, yeah, we're going to do that eventually, but it's definitely not a priority. It's not at the top of the list. I think top of the list is FSD, unsupervised, getting robotaxis out there, building cybercab, getting these manufacturing plants for megapacks. Like they have so much on their plate. I think the Grok part is kind of go ahead, you push back.
Not pushback. I want to just say, you
cracks?
just said that the priority is robotaxi, commercialized robotaxi, which is going to happen by the second half of this year. You will need Grok in there to be able to do that well.
I don't think so.
I would also push back by saying XAI is a different team. It is not consuming the same headspace as all the Tesla projects. They can work on both at the same time.
Yeah,
because
but
they're not the same people.
But you have to have the integration. That's the thing.
Oh,
I think it's needed for commercialized robotaxi. Now, you don't need it for Waymo experience, but you'll need it for Tesla experience. They really want to show you what it's like. And so when you walk into that car, what are you going to do? You have Grok to help you control the car, control the entertainment. You can ask it questions. It can help you with business, all those things. I think that's part of the whole experience.
So like,
but if I'm not driving, it's less critical. I mean, I'll still have my phone. I'll still have my laptop or whatever it is. I don't know, what I would need Grok for today is because I'm not allowed to look at the screen for more than 1 second before it gets mad at me.
It's what Nick was saying earlier, right? It's the way for you to communicate to the car to tell it what you want it to do. Like as it's getting closer to my driveway, for example, I tell the Uber driver, you're dropping me off, just go ahead and park in front of the driveway. Don't drive inside, because I have a driveway that's sort of a curvy driveway, goes downwards. And I just tell them to park in front. I would do the same thing with this one. Or can you just turn around the car and then park on the other side of the street, drop me off there, right? Or park me in front of my mailbox. Those are the things that you can tell the car to do and it'll do it.
Yeah, that's like a small nuance that'd be like really important. Like imagine you're sitting on the back right side and it drops you off, and the front door is where your front left or your back left side would be, but it's raining. And you're like, hey, can you do a loop around so that my side opens up so I don't have to get poured on? I mean, I know that's stupid and silly and a small thing, but there's also the important things. Like you get into the cybercab and the first thing you say is like, hey, put on Brighter with Herbert or Preacher Ozza on YouTube right now. There's a live stream going on. Like that's important stuff. And I want to be able to get that on immediately.
Yeah, take me to the nearest Starbucks.
Yeah, you're a McDonald's guy, huh? I'm Taco Bell.
No, he means I'm McDonald's and he's Starbucks.
With a smile like that, how can he not be? No, wait, you're Seattle though, aren't? Or wait, no, you're Seattle.
Oh yeah,
Wait,
I'm close enough to Seattle. We're all about the Starbucks. Yeah.
yeah.
It's how we combat seasonal affective disorder. We have to be jacked up on caffeine.
We're just jacked over here.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens. I do think that Grok could be the thing. It's going to be, communicate. This is the future, right? What was that? Kit, right? That was the whole future. The
Well,
future
hold on.
want to look like the future. It's like the car has a personality. You can talk to your car. Car talks back to you, and you don't think that that's going to be like a media viral thing. That, my God, my car is now alive.
Let's.
It's like
let's,
what happened when when you showed the bot, right? When Figure showed that bot and that went viral, people are going, "My God, I can now talk to the bot." And that was just a
Well,
demo. Imagine if you can now actually do it, not just a demo from some company.
Yes, that was not the reaction. The reaction was, "Wow, it's so latent." That was the reaction.
Oh yeah.
That was
Even
the
with a
reaction.
human, it's really latent.
Yes, that
Um,
was the reaction.
Herbert, I'm going to cut out because I need a quick break before the after show. You can explain that as I disappear.
Yeah, thank you, Brian.
Potty break.
Yeah,
Potty
we'll
break.
stay on this show, and as soon as we end it, you will be redirected to Brian's show, and he's going to answer all the questions, and he has more information to share there. Interesting, Nick. Do you want to continue talking about Grok?
Yeah, just two things. So one kind of silly thing. All right. So does Grok get into the car in 2025 or no? Yes or no?
Oh yes, it's
Oh, yes.
it's coming. I believe that
Do-
it's required for the robotaxi, so that's why
Okay.
I know you said that you don't think it's a priority. I think it
box
is
you in.
very much important.
I got you.
Yeah.
Let me box you in.
Yeah. Okay.
What happens first, unsupervised FSD or Grok in the car?
Why would that box me
great
in?
question. Well, because I'm trying to timeline you.
I would think Grok would appear. It depends
No,
on
wait,
how
put your
what
name
features.
on it.
It depends on what features they put in. That's why I asked the question: is it going to control the features in the car, or is it just available
I
for
don't
you
know.
to ask questions?
We know everything we know right now. You have to
Yeah.
make a decision.
If it was just for you to talk to Grok, just like I can do right now on my phone, yeah, that can happen any moment.
No caveating.
That's easy.
No caveating. Which one comes first, Grok or unsupervised FSD?
I think Grok will come first.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I take the other side and I say not in 2025. We'll revisit this if I remember.
You don't think Grok's going to appear in the Tesla cars until 2026?
Correct.
Okay. What's your
okay.
reasoning?
I don't think it's even near the top of the priority list. And I think that's more of a it's just a nicety into 2026 and to try to start making things more finesse rather than right now we just care about we care about just getting something out there that works and works well. Grok is not needed for that.
Okay.
Okay, now let's talk about Tesla stock real quick, if you don't mind, because I know we only have a couple minutes left. Again, I don't like to make like I know Herbert will ask me about stock predictions, and I'll throw something out there, but that's not me necessarily making a prediction. He asked me a question. I'm just answering his question. But I will say, if you guys can draw a trend line from start, like just do a 6-month chart, 4-hour window, do a trend line from the peak to where we are now, you'll see there's a solid downtrend. I'm telling you, when we break that, it's going to break pretty aggressively upwards. And then if we break 488, that's when you're going to start finding out that everybody was right or wrong about the $500, $600, $700 price targets. So just sharing what I'm looking at right now, it looks like we're moving back up slightly from 370. And this is potentially a lower low, which is a good sign. Again, I'm not a technical guy or whatever, but like this is like you just looking at the chart and you've seen what's there. It's just something worth being aware of. And the reason I'm so aware of it right now is because I think I said I mentioned this that like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, I started buying leaps for the first time in like 5 years.
Yeah.
So and I got lots of comments like, "Oh, now you do it when we're at the top." Like, okay, like let's there's levels to this game. So
Yeah.
I would say just it's going to be interesting. And I think that right now we may have a little bit of a quiet time, but I truly think that once this next move happens, this next move is going to be violent.
Yeah. I guess there is no catalyst, right? Unless there's an announcement of an FSC license that could, some people think might happen on the 30th, right? January 30th, which is when the earnings call is. Some people say that that's when Elon talks about FSC licensing during those earnings call. If that doesn't happen, then the only thing we're waiting for is a new vehicle reveal sometime in the first quarter. Otherwise, we're waiting. Everybody's waiting for the second half of this year. If there's unsupervised FSD and some sort of commercial launch, if that happens, then I think that's a milestone. Otherwise, yeah, it's going to be very volatile, right? We don't know what's going to happen to the stock, up and down.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very exciting spring, summer. I'll just say that.
What's going to happen other than what I mentioned? What are the other things?
I don't know. I have zero idea. Zero idea. But all you have to do is listen to the people who work at Tesla and what they're communicating, what they've been communicating, and you can just tell big things are about to happen. So I mean, you never know. Like, don't forget, like last time back in 2021 or whatever, the big breakout was 100,000 vehicles by Hertz was like the last thing. It wasn't that wasn't what drove things. That wasn't really a catalyst. That was just the straw that broke the camel's back. That's all it was. And so right now there's so many things that they just keep piling and piling. And I'm just of the opinion that we're just one straw away from breaking that camel's back.
You don't think it was already broken and that's where the jump already happened?
No. I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I think this is the warm up, the pregame.
Yeah. So far, that's what most people are saying. Mark Newton, the guy I've been interviewing from Fundstrat, and he's like a technical, and he's been saying exactly this. So it's actually playing out, right? Once we hit over all-time highs, then it'll be fluctuating, and then it's going to go all the way to $600, $700. So
yeah, there's a lot of bullish things coming up. Like you got inauguration, you got the earnings call, and then you got February jobs number, whatever happens there. So there could be a lot of bullish things coming up. I'm optimistic. I know we got to go.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye, everybody. Stay on.